In the corner of a luxury restaurant, a millionaire sat alone, his mind lost in the silence of his world. He couldn't hear the clinking of glasses, the laughter of the guests, or the hum of conversations. But that night, a baby, the cleaning lady's baby, did the unthinkable, and everything changed. Samuel Hayes, 42, self-made millionaire, CEO of Hayes Tech Enterprises, had it all: money, power, luxury. But there was one thing he could never buy: sound. Samuel was born deaf. He grew up isolated, silent, always treated as different. He'd built his empire by reading people's eyes, watching their movements, understanding the unspoken. But no matter how successful he became, he never quite learned how to connect with people. Not really, not in the way most did. He sat alone at fancy restaurants, dining in silence, surrounded by the noises of the world he couldn't hear. But tonight, something would happen. Something impossible. Maria Lopez, 28, worked as a cleaning lady at the restaurant. She wasn't from wealth, but her spirit was rich. Maria had a young son, Carlos, only 2 years old. She always carried him in a baby carrier while cleaning, doing her best to keep him entertained with toys. That evening, Maria walked into the dining room to clean a table near Samuel. He noticed her for the first time, not because of her appearance, but because her baby smiled at him. Carlos giggled, his little hands waving in the air. Samuel smiled back, his first genuine smile of the evening. Maria froze. She didn't expect the millionaire to notice her son. After all, he was always so focused on his own world. But as she started cleaning the table, something extraordinary happened. Carlos, curious about the silverware, reached up to touch Samuel's glass of water. It slipped from his hand, and the glass tumbled onto the floor with a loud crash. Maria immediately bent down to pick up the glass, embarrassed. "I'm so sorry, sir," she apologized in sign language, her hands moving quickly. But Samuel didn't seem upset. Instead, he smiled and signed back, "Don't worry, it's okay." Maria blinked, surprised. He understood sign language. Her eyes widened as she realized what was happening. For the next few minutes, Maria and Samuel communicated through sign language. "I've never met someone who knows sign language," Maria said, her hands moving fluently. Samuel nodded, smiling softly. "Most people don't expect me to know, but I was taught by my mother. She was my first teacher." Maria's eyes softened. "You don't seem like the kind of person who would learn to communicate like that." Samuel chuckled. "Most people don't know that about me. I guess I've always felt invisible in a crowd. Like my silence is the loudest thing about me." Maria nodded. "I understand. Sometimes we all feel invisible. But you're not." Carlos giggled again from her arms, reaching out toward Samuel. Samuel instinctively held out his hand. Carlos grasped it, his small fingers wrapping around Samuel's finger. And in that moment, Samuel felt a connection he hadn't known in years. The pure innocence of a child and the kindness of a woman who didn't judge him for his silence. As the night continued, Maria and Samuel spoke in sign language. They didn't discuss money, business, or fame. They talked about life. Maria told Samuel about her son, her struggles as a single mother, and how she worked long hours just to make ends meet. Samuel shared stories of growing up deaf, how he had built his company with sheer determination, and how his life felt disconnected from others, despite the wealth and success he had achieved. It wasn't just their words that bonded them, it was their shared understanding of isolation. At the end of their conversation, Maria smiled at Samuel. "I think you're the first person I've met here who truly sees me," she said softly. Samuel paused. "Really? I thought it was just me who felt invisible." Maria shook her head. "No, Samuel. You see more than just the surface. You see people." She smiled, gently picking up Carlos, who had fallen asleep in her arms. "I should go. Thank you for making me feel heard." Samuel smiled back. "I think I should thank you. You made me feel seen." As Maria turned to leave, Carlos suddenly woke up. He reached out towards Samuel again, crying softly for a moment. Without thinking, Samuel walked toward her and Carlos, and gently held the child in his arms. Maria looked at him, shocked. "I didn't expect you to." Samuel looked at her and smiled, his heart unexpectedly warm. "I guess I don't expect myself to do a lot of things anymore," he said softly. "Maybe that's a good thing." Carlos stopped crying and giggled, his tiny hands reaching for Samuel's face. He touched Samuel's lips, and then made a small gesture, like he was trying to say something. Maria watched in awe as Samuel leaned down and whispered something to Carlos. I think he's trying to say thank you. Samuel sighed. Maria's eyes filled with tears. The next day, Maria received an unexpected call. It was from Samuel's assistant, Mr. Hayes has left a generous donation for you for Carlos's schooling, medical expenses, and a new home. Maria couldn't believe it. She was overwhelmed, but when she arrived at the office to thank him, Samuel wasn't there. The assistant explained, Mr. Hayes believes in helping those who help others, even in small ways. He wants you to take the chance to live better. Maria stood in disbelief. It was more than just money. It was the gift of a new life. Over the next few weeks, Samuel and Maria became close friends. They shared phone calls, dinners, and outings with Carlos, but slowly, something deeper began to grow. Maria was no longer the lonely cleaning lady. Samuel was no longer the rich, silent man in the corner. They found in each other something they had both been missing, a connection that had nothing to do with money or status. One night, as they sat on the balcony, watching the city lights together, Maria turned to Samuel. I never thought my life could change so quickly, she said. Softly, Samuel smiled. It only takes one moment, one decision, one person who truly sees you. Maria's eyes shone. I think that person is you. And that night, as the stars filled the sky, their worlds collided in a way neither had expected. Not because of wealth, not because of status, but because of kindness. Sometimes the greatest changes come from the smallest moments. A simple gesture, a caring touch, a person who sees you for who you really are. And in those moments, lives are never the same again.